The day Lucy went into labor, the wind was freezing, her water broke, and she was rolling in pain on the bed. The maid rushed out to find a doctor and a midwife, only to realize there was no money left to hire anyone. She opened the last few camphor wood chests Lucy had hidden and found that Jack had secretly pawned off all of Lucy's dowry. The storeroom was completely empty. There was nothing left but dozens of empty chests. The rare furs and pure gold jewelry her family had prepared for her were all sold off by Jack. He used the money to tip women at brothels. With no other choice, the maid from the small courtyard ran to the back gate of the manor and begged for help. The old madam hated Lucy deeply, but she still couldn't bear to watch Jack's bloodline die in the womb. So she sent the best midwife in the manor. The moment the midwife arrived, her face changed. During her pregnancy, Lucy had been overthinking and constantly fighting with Anna out of jealousy. After being badly shaken and with Jack ignoring her, she kept overeating to vent her anger. Her belly had grown shockingly large. The baby was too big and the position was wrong. She was in labor for a full day and night, screaming so loudly half the street could hear her. Her voice went hoarse. Basin after basin of bloody water was changed, but the baby was stuck and wouldn't come out. The maid searched everywhere for Jack and finally found him drunk in a low-end brothel. The maid knelt on the floor and cried. "Second master, please go back and see her. Madam is dying. She's having a difficult labor." But Jack kicked her away. Reeking of alcohol, he hugged the prostitute in his arms and snapped impatiently. "Get lost. What woman doesn't give birth? Why is Lucy the only one acting so delicate? If she can't give birth, then let her die. Don't come ruin my fun." At last, on a pitch-black night after endless pain and despair, Lucy began bleeding heavily. She let out one final piercing scream and died in childbirth. The long-awaited baby boy in her belly died with her on that broken wooden bed. 2 lives lost. They said when she died, her eyes were wide open, fixed on the door. Her eyes were filled with regret and resentment. The next morning, Jack finally sobered up. When he staggered back to the courtyard, all he saw were 2 bodies in the hall, covered by a straw mat. When he heard Lucy had died horribly, he didn't shed a single tear. He didn't even feel sad. He only felt that his ears were finally free. One annoying burden was finally gone. But Anna, who witnessed everything, was completely chilled. Looking at Lucy's terrible body, Anna felt like she was staring at her own future. Jack's cold-blooded cruelty finally showed her who he really was. While Jack went to report the death to the authorities, Anna held her newborn daughter. Taking only one loyal servant with her, she quietly left that small courtyard. She returned to the gates of the Anna family home. There, she knelt and refused to get up, crying bitterly as she admitted her mistake and begged for forgiveness. When Jack finished handling the funeral and came back, the whole courtyard was empty. Anna was gone. She had taken the last bit of valuables he had left. The place looked desolate. Autumn wind swept over the fallen leaves. Everything felt bleak. Seeing his daughter admit her mistake, Anna's father finally softened. He took her back in. But he couldn't swallow his anger. So the next day, he reported Jack in court. In the memorial, he never mentioned his daughter running away. He only accused Jack of deliberately luring away a respectable young woman and disgracing an official family. The emperor was furious. He already hated Jack because of what happened to Lucy. Now that Jack had caused another scandal, the emperor ordered the Ministry of Justice to arrest him. Jack was dragged away by the officers like prey and thrown into prison. Every day, he clung to the iron bars, hoping Anna would remember they had once been husband and wife. He hoped she would come see him and beg her father to let him out. But all he waited for was endless darkness and the squeaking of rats. When the news reached the Marquis Manor, I was sitting in the warm room embroidering. Hearing how Lucy died in childbirth, my fingers paused. The needle pricked my fingertip, and a bead of blood appeared. I suddenly remembered my past life. Back then, I also had a difficult labor. Back then, I was also in pain worse than death. To swap the babies. Jack and Lucy stood outside the screen and watched coldly. They listened to my screams and watched me bleed to death. Karma really does come back around. No one escapes what they deserve. The pain they put me through in my past life had come back on them completely in this one. I took a deep breath, put my bleeding finger in my mouth, then gently touched my slightly rounded belly. Tom happened to walk in from outside. Seeing me lost in thought, he quickly came over with concern. He held my hand. "What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? The royal physician just confirmed a few days ago that you're pregnant. He told you not to overthink or worry too much. Even if the second branch makes a huge mess, even if they all die, that's their own karma. It has nothing to do with you." That's right. Just a few days earlier, I had felt nauseous and dizzy in the morning. Tom was so nervous that he took his pass straight to the palace. He invited the chief physician over to check my pulse. I was already 2 months pregnant. As for exactly when we became a real couple, I could only blame our wedding night. He was too good at tempting me. And I had a couple extra cups of wedding wine. Before I knew it, I had given myself to him. Looking at the man in front of me. This man who treated me like a treasure, I held his broad, warm hand tightly and asked softly, "My lord, no matter what happens, no matter how many storms come in the future, will you protect me and the child in my belly?" Tom held my hand back and pulled me into his arms. He lowered his head and kissed my forehead deeply. Then he smiled, his expression steady and reassuring. "Of course, you are my lawful wife, and he is my child. Even if it costs me my life, I, Tom, will protect you both." What's wrong? Does my wife not trust her husband's abilities? After 10 months of pregnancy, the day of delivery finally came. I didn't suffer like Lucy had. Tom had prepared the best midwives and royal physicians in the capital early on. They were already waiting in the manor. When the contractions hit, he ignored everyone's warnings. The old madam and the matron said the delivery room was bloody and unlucky for a man to enter, but he insisted on staying by my bed. He held my sweat-soaked hand tightly, his eyes red, even more nervous than I was. "Amy, don't be scared, I'm here." He kept repeating it by my ear, his voice trembling slightly. "Once you give birth to this child, I'll tell you a secret I've kept for a long time." I was in so much pain I had no mind to listen to his secret. I only felt like he was in the way, so I gritted my teeth and pushed him out. "Get out, don't stand here bothering me." He was pushed outside, but paced back and forth like a trapped beast outside the delivery room. At dawn the next morning, the first light broke through the darkness. A loud, clear baby's cry rang through the main courtyard of the Marquis Manor. "Congratulations, my lord." "Congratulations, madam, it's a healthy baby boy." The midwife came out beaming with joy. That cry was like the first light of dawn. It finally cleared away the gloom that had weighed on my heart for 2 whole lifetimes. Tom rushed into the room immediately. He didn't even glance at our son in the swaddle. He went straight to my bedside, knelt on the footstool, and brushed aside the hair stuck to my forehead. "Amy, you worked so hard." Only after making sure I was safe did he carefully take the baby from the nurse. The great general, usually decisive and ruthless on the battlefield, now looked at the baby in his arms. The baby looked so much like him, and Tom's eyes became unbelievably gentle. He didn't even dare to use any strength. His fingers trembled as he gently touched the baby's soft little cheek. Even his breathing became careful and quiet. When the old madam heard the news, she hurried over with the help of the maids. Seeing her healthy great-grandson, she cried tears of joy and kept praying with folded hands. Right then, the old madam named him Noah. The name meant peace and safety for life. It honored Tom's years of fighting for the country and wished the child a smooth, worry-free life. During my confinement month, Tom turned down almost every unnecessary social event and court duty. Every day, once he finished military work, he came straight to the inner courtyard. He was a warrior, and his palms were covered in calluses. But when taking care of me and our son, he was so thoughtful it amazed everyone. He personally checked on my meals and daily routine. Even when the baby cried at night, he never left it to others. He learned from the matrons how to change diapers and burp the baby. His movements were clumsy, but he was incredibly serious. One night, I woke up in the middle of the night. Through the soft moonlight, I saw him sitting on a small stool beside the bed. He held a palm fan in his hand, gently fanning me and Noah in the cradle. He quietly watched us, his eyes full of deep tenderness and love. It made my heart tremble. The memories of being betrayed in my past life, of dying alone and helpless on the delivery bed, slowly began to fade under his careful protection. The day my confinement ended, Tom sat with me under the grapevines in the inner courtyard. Noah was sleeping soundly in the cradle beside us. As I looked at Tom, I suddenly remembered what he had said on the day I gave birth. I couldn't help asking, "My lord, back then outside the delivery room you said you had a secret to tell me. What was it?" The smile on Tom's face faded slightly. He stood up, came to sit beside me, and held my hand. His eyes turned serious, even carrying a trace of someone who had survived a disaster. He took a deep breath, as if finally making a huge decision. "Amy, the truth is, I was reborn too." My heart shook hard. My mind went blank as I stared at him in disbelief. You were reborn too?" Tom gave a bitter smile and nodded. His gaze drifted into the distance, as if he had fallen back into the most painful memory. "In my past life, I did die on the battlefield, but for some reason my soul never left. It kept drifting above the Marquis Manor. As an invisible ghost, I saw the truth behind Lucy's fake death, Jack's hypocrisy and cruelty, and everything they did to you.